Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. India is a country with an ancient history and an incredibly diverse culture, whose origins date back to ancestral times, even connected to traditions related to Noah. In this video, my goal is to explore the deep genetic, historical, linguistic, and theological roots that compose the rich heritage of the Indian population. By the end of the video, I invite you to leave a like, share your opinion in the comments, and share this video with those who are also interested in learning more about the ancient origins of this fascinating people. This video is part of the series The Origin of Peoples According to the Bible. The origin of India's indigenous population is deeply connected not only to the Asian continent, but also to Africa, dating back thousands of years. Genetic studies and DNA analyses show that the inhabitants of the region, particularly in southern India, have predominantly African ancestry. This connection is especially evident in the Andamanese population, who lived in isolation for long periods, preserving genetic traits that indicate an origin in the African region that now includes countries such as Ethiopia and Sudan. These African groups were pioneers in the first wave of migration that left the African continent, exploring new territories around the world. Starting from the Horn of Africa, they reached the Indian subcontinent, where they settled and integrated, with the highest concentration in southern India. Their presence shaped the genetic and cultural foundation of the local population, highlighting a historical link between Africa and Asia. Modern Andamanese people retain genetic traits that trace back to this initial migration, providing further evidence that these peoples were the first to reach South Asia. Moreover, among the descendants of these African groups are the Dravidians, whose genetic makeup reflects a high percentage of African ancestry. Together, the Andamanese and Dravidians sustain one of the largest concentrations of African DNA outside the original continent. This shared ancestry between Africa and India is not only a biological record, but also a milestone in understanding human migration and cultural dispersion throughout history. It reveals the ability of the first humans after the flood to adapt to new environments and shape entire civilizations, even in regions far from their original home. Ongoing studies of these genetic connections offer a unique opportunity to explore how ancestral migrations contributed to contemporary human diversity. The Andamanese are indigenous peoples who inhabit the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, an archipelago located in the Indian Ocean under Indian jurisdiction. They are among the oldest and most isolated populations in the world, preserving a unique cultural and linguistic heritage throughout the centuries. On the other hand, the Dravidians are an ethnic group predominant in southern India and parts of Sri Lanka, known for their rich cultural and linguistic history. Their Dravidian languages, such as Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam, make up one of the major linguistic families of India, with significant contributions to the region's cultural identity. After the initial migration of African groups to India, a new wave of migration emerged with the arrival of Iranian farmers. Coming from the region that is now Iran, these peoples crossed Afghanistan and Pakistan before settling in India. They were the first migrants to deeply interact with the local populations of the time, especially the Africans who already inhabited southern India. This interaction between Iranian farmers and the local inhabitants resulted in a significant genetic contribution to the composition of modern Indians. Studies indicate that, from this fusion, about 45% of contemporary Indian DNA is derived from Afro-Dravidians, while another 45% originates from ancient Iranians. This remarkable combination of genetic influences shaped the foundation of India's population diversity, reflecting a history of integration that dates back millennia. In addition to the genetic impact, the interactions between these groups brought profound cultural exchanges, involving agricultural knowledge, social practices, and linguistic development. The Iranian farmers introduced cultivation techniques and social organization that merged with the knowledge of the local inhabitants, contributing to the formation of complex communities. This cultural synergy played a crucial role in the construction of societies that, to this day, preserve traces of these shared ancestral origins. The people of southern India still maintain high levels of Afro-Dravidian ancestry. Among them, the Telugus have about 55%, the Kannadigas reach 70%, the Zarulas attain 80%, while the Paniya people have an impressive 87% Afro-Dravidian genetic heritage. Notably, the Paniya share significant traits with the Andamanese, direct descendants of the Africans who migrated to India in ancient times. In addition to this deeply rooted African influence, the intermingling between Afro-Dravidians and Iranian farmers played a central role in the genetic makeup of the Indian population. Later, the Indo-Aryan ancestors also made substantial contributions to the region's genetic diversity. The arrival of the Indo-Aryans brought not only genetic contributions, but also a lasting cultural impact, especially in the linguistic field. Sanskrit, one of the Indo-Aryan languages, stood out for its sophistication and versatility, being widely used in religious, literary, and philosophical texts. With a meticulous grammatical structure, Sanskrit features complex verb conjugation, rich nominal morphology, and highly refined syntax. Originally a spoken language, it became the foundation of many cultural and intellectual traditions in India. The Devanagari script, associated with Sanskrit, is a remarkable feature of its evolution. This alphabet, composed of intricate symbols that represent sounds and ideas, is used in several Indian languages, including Hindi, Marathi, and Nepali. Hindi, derived from Sanskrit and Prakrit, became one of the most spoken languages in the world and is currently one of India's official languages. Its standardized form, known as Standard Hindi, reflects the ongoing linguistic and cultural evolution of the Indian subcontinent. This rich linguistic and genetic diversity not only reflects the complex interactions between different peoples throughout India's history, but also highlights the region's central role as a cultural and genetic meeting point. The coexistence and exchange between Afro-Dravidians, Iranians, and Indo-Aryans not only resulted in diverse genetics, but also in a unique cultural tapestry where traditions, languages, and knowledge intertwined to form the foundation of modern Indian identity. The Indo-Aryan languages belong to the Indo-Iranian branch of the vast Indo-European language family, historically also referred to as the Japhetic family. The term Japhetic refers to Japheth, one of Noah's sons, believed to be the ancestor of many European and Iranian peoples. The Indo-Iranians, in turn, upon migrating and settling in the Indian subcontinent, interacted genetically and culturally with the local Dravidians or Afro-Dravidians, albeit to a lesser extent compared to the Aryans. This fusion significantly contributed to India's rich population and cultural diversity. The result of this interaction is the unique composition of contemporary Indian populations. In southern India, physical and genetic traits are more closely related to Dravidian populations, which have direct links to African ancestors. In the north, the influence of Aryans and Iranians is more pronounced. However, these regional differences are not absolute. Populations from both the north and south are deeply interconnected by centuries of intermingling, displaying a diverse combination of ancestral traits. Moreover, this complex web of interactions is reflected not only in genetic aspects, but also in the development of cultural traditions, languages, and social practices that define modern India. A fascinating aspect of the history of northern Indians is the origin of a group that, for various reasons, became nomadic and dispersed to other parts of the world. This population initially migrated to the Middle East, then to the Maghreb, Europe, and later reached the Americas. They are the Gypsies, direct descendants of the peoples from northern India, particularly from the Punjab region. While their genetic origins remain shrouded in mystery, linguistic studies provide clear clues. The Romani language, spoken by the Gypsies, bears a remarkable resemblance to Hindi and other Indian languages, highlighting their roots in the Indian subcontinent. In addition to linguistic evidence, the cultural and social practices of the Gypsies also reflect ancient Indian influences, from musical patterns and dance styles to elements of community organization. This rich cultural heritage shows how migrations can spread and transform traditions, contributing to global diversity while preserving traces of their ancestral origins. By studying the journey of the Gypsies, we gain a better understanding of the historical connection between distant peoples and the lasting impact of human migrations on the formation of cultural and linguistic identities. Apart from the Indo-European language family, specifically the Indo-Aryan branch, and the various Indo-Aryan languages spoken in India, another equally important language family stands out, especially predominant in the south of the country: the Dravidian family. This family encompasses Dravidian languages, among which Tamil is one of the oldest and most significant. Tamil is mainly spoken in southern India and has a rich cultural and historical heritage, establishing itself as one of the linguistic pillars of the region. However, the linguistic richness of India goes far beyond that. It is estimated that the country is home to around 400 distinct languages and dialects, reflecting its impressive cultural and ethnic diversity. This linguistic plurality is just one facet of the complex historical and genetic tapestry that defines the Indian subcontinent. As is customary on our channel, we explore a wide range of topics related to ethnicity, genetic history, linguistics, and culture. Our approach also includes analyzing the biblical origins of different populations based on the genealogies described in Genesis chapter 10 and the Book of Chronicles. This method helps us connect the times of Noah to modern populations and is part of one of the most popular series on our channel. Additionally, we have several videos discussing the history of other peoples, such as the fascinating journey of Indian populations. The history of the origins of Indians is deeply complex. Focusing on South Indians, we find traces that date back to ancient African populations, originating from the Horn of Africa, particularly from the region now known as Ethiopia and Sudan. These populations, known as Kushites and descendants of Ham, Noah's son, migrated to southern India, leaving a significant genetic mark on the inhabitants of this region. Thus, Southerners carry a rich Hamitic genetic heritage, which is reflected both in their culture and their physical characteristics. In northern India, the prevailing genetic origin is Indo-Aryan and Iranian, strongly influenced by ancient civilizations such as the Persians and the Medes. These peoples are descendants of Madai, son of Japheth and grandson of Noah. The predominant Japhetic heritage in northern India is the result of migrations of the Japhetites, who eventually intermingled with the Hamitic descendants of the southern region. This fusion gave rise to a population with a unique combination of genetic and cultural traits, which still shape Indian identity today. In the comments, we invite you to share which other peoples or cultures you would like to learn more about in future videos. We have received several requests and are committed to addressing them with the dedication, research, and study necessary to provide quality content. We greatly appreciate you following us thus far. May God bless each one of you, and we'll see you soon.